Ladies and gentlemen, with a sad heart, we are going to start this episode of the show for those people out in South Carolina who are dealing with a tragedy that unfortunately seems to be all too common this day and age, where we are in the 21st century, still dealing with issues of skin color and class and the way people treat other people. And yet we still have to deal with this tired black on white issue, this tired issue of people hating on other people for nothing else than the color of their skin. And on top of that, a second issue that keeps coming up with this, unfortunately, and maybe even fortunately, if we can find a solution, would be the issue of gun control. Now, for this, I was contemplating even doing something like this for a while. It bothered me for a bit. But I called in my good buddy Richard here to help me out with this because while he has a different perspective on things, the end goal is both the same for both of us. We want to be able to live in a healthy community where we can be ourselves and either be left alone or contribute to the community and continue on with our lives so that our families and their families and friends can be prosperous. So, Richard, I want to say thank you very much for joining me tonight on this. I know you're taking time out, of your time to relax, to just help me straighten this thing out in my head because we've seen all the other crap beforehand that's been happening with shootings and whatnot. Everything from Sandy Hook to people being shot dead in the street, unarmed, for no reason whatsoever. And while, yes, there are some focuses that have been on the skin color of the shooting victims, for some occasions and other occasions it's been said as, oh, this is a tragedy just because it happened. This one here kind of has the worst of both worlds mixed into it. And
Sean, I'm sorry to cut you off.
no, go on. By all means, please. This is just you and I talking here.
I
By all means.
appreciate you having me on the show. It's always a pleasure to hang out with my friend. It's always an honor. Okay, let's, prayers go out to South Carolina families, or the Charleston families. Let's start with what it boils down to. With each generation, it's getting worse. Um, Parents are not allowed to discipline their children. If they do, they're looking at jail time. If your child skips school, parents looking at jail time. Um, it all started with the government stepping in and saying, "Look, you can't touch your child. Whatever you do, you cannot touch your child. You touch your child, you're going to jail. We'll put them in a foster home." And let's all face it, yeah, foster homes are really the best. Uh, 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 it's never the best thing to do for a child. My sisters and my brothers have been through foster homes, and it's just not a good thing. My mom and dad, they were threatened by social services to have me taken away if they were found to have laid a hand on me. So I was raised up without any discipline. God knows, looking back, I could have used it. Um, but yeah, with each generation, it's getting worse. You see it every day, and I'm not one to blame the media or the music industry or the game industry, but you do see it, especially in the music industry. I mean, you've got girls 12 years old look like they're 30, and I'm pretty sure you can agree with me with that, Sean. It's really crazy. My wife looks at me sometimes going, "What are you looking at? She's only 12." And she's even pointed it out to me. No, she ain't. She's got to be at least 20. Yeah, she proved me wrong one time. Yeah, needless to say, I don't look no more. But
I can see that, Up to a point, I can see that. Up to a point where you have these rules that would try and deal with the lowest common denominator, but end up being used against people who just want to make sure that their children don't step out of line. And whether you agree with some form of corporal punishment or not, there's always a line somewhere that you shouldn't cross, whether it's mental or physical discipline. There's always a line somewhere that you shouldn't cross. And those rules were meant for those people who cross it or don't know where the line is. But for the vast majority of people that do know where the line is, because some people are very sensitive, they want to make sure that nobody gets abused. There are a few people who are busybodies, yes, but there are some people who just aren't sure, and they would rather be safe than sorry. They would rather be, well, let me call the cops and CPS just in case, because I don't want to be the one living next to the neighbor that beats their kid to the point of death.
Well, let me stop you there. Getting the cops or DHS involved is the absolute last and worst possible thing you could ever do, because once that phone call is made, a record is started. Regardless if anything happens, a record is started. Whether the child was abused or not, a record is started. And once DHS is involved, it's pretty much over with. They will be knocking on your door every other day.
Well, bringing it back to this here, though, and there's a reason why we took this tangent. We're coming up into this here where the judge was making a comment about how the alleged shooter's parents and family should be treated as victims in this entire episode as well. Which, I don't know about you, but flip the scripts. If the kid was black, shot up people in the white church, are you going to tell me with a straight face that the judge is going to say, you know what, your parents are victims in this too?
I'm going to say that with a resounding hell no, because the simple fact that if he'd been black, they'd have built a new prison on top of him.
And Fox News would have vilified his parents. Where are the parents in this?
Yup.
Where are the parents? You see this? This is yet another classic example of why a black man goes and shoots up a place because the parents weren't involved in his life.
Yup. I agree with you 100% on that, Sean. I really do. And the thing about it is that it's sad that we still live in a world where we're still classifying each other, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, whatever. It just doesn't have to be like that anymore. I mean, the 21st century, there's no reason we should still be like that.
I mean, I could get the whole classification structure just for a quick demographic check for whatever reason, arbitrary reason, easy description when you want to identify a suspect. I get that. But when you have situations where you are looking at crime statistics or situations of how justice and the attitude of how justice should be delivered to people, you see situations like this happening over and over and over again, where even if it's obviously this guy is just flat out wrong and disgusting in the attitude, that they would still get leniency to some degree because of the color of his skin.
Oh, no doubt. And like I said, if because he is white, he will probably receive some sort of leniency. If he was black, they'd have built a new prison on top of him. But that's just, I mean, it's the stereotypes that we're constantly putting out there for people. Okay, see, I don't agree with the whole classifying people. I mean, if you're looking for a suspect, you're looking for a male suspect, you're looking for a female suspect. He's 6'10", 350 pounds. I mean, come on. I don't. I'm not understanding. Okay, well, the cops driving down the road to see a 6-foot male, 310 pounds. They stop him. Did you rob this place? No, I didn't. Take him back to the place. No, that wasn't him. It doesn't have to be a classification. And I really feel sorry for you, bro, because I see it all the time, and I know, with you being black, you're automatically suspect.
Wait, I'm black?
You're automatically suspect, and it's just because of the color of your skin that makes you automatically suspect.
But I would see this, like, for an example, if there was a crime, and there's videotape of that person perpetrating the crime itself. I want as many details out in that APB as possible to be able to catch the person. But I also want those details to be treated like if it was red hair, wearing a Blue Jays baseball cap with a brown jacket, wearing pink socks, and he has black skin. Those details should be treated with equal weight.
Yep. But it's not that way, man. I guarantee you, because the only thing they're looking for is the color of his skin.
I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things you just look at this and you see this fear in people. I mean, even taking this, assuming that what the alleged perpetrator has done and what his motives are true based off of the reports so far.
Well,
he has a fear of black people sleeping with white women and taking over the country.
I know, I heard about that. Yeah, I don't understand what would motivate somebody to that degree. I mean, okay, yeah, they said he was on meds, but really nowadays, who isn't on some type of medication?
Sure as hell not.
To me, that's kind of like, yeah, I'm not on meds either, but to me, that's kind of like a cop out. That right there, oh, well, he's white and on meds. There's some leniency. If he was black and selling crack, like I said, they built a prison on top of him. But what it was is he was in this church for a while before actually committing this heinous act, and I don't understand if that was his complete motivation, was he just wanted to kill black people. I mean, why did he wait? Why was he there all that time? And why did he wait? Why did he pick that spot? I'm pretty sure in that town you could walk down the street and just pick out any random black person you wanted to.
The sad part is, in reading the history of that area, that is literally what used to happen. Literally, any black person that they feel like picking out on the street, take them out, hang them. Before you hang them, bring the kids out there so they can watch. Have a picnic. They would literally do that.
I've seen this guy's profile pic, of him standing in front of his car. To me, it looked like he straight wanted to be thug anyway. So I don't get it. I really don't.
Which blows my mind to another dimension, because that's the weird hypocrisy of it. The same people, whether you're old or young, who look at this and say black people are icky, they're wrong, the entire culture is disgusting, we don't want to have any piece of it, have that same culture integrated into their very own cultural DNA and not even realize it.
Yeah. See here, and there's another issue too that bothers me is going back to classification. I had a black uncle one time who told me, he said, And he said, "Do you know the difference between a black man and a nigger?" And hell, I couldn't have been 17, 18 at the time. And, he grew up on the streets of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Detroit, Michigan. And I said, "No, I really don't know, because hell, I really didn't." And he said a black man will work for it, and he said a nigger will steal it. And this actually came from a black man. And I've actually been thinking about that a lot today, and I still to this day do not see the relevancy of why he would tell me something like that. Because the actual definition of nigger is lazy and shiftless. Now, that could also classify anybody. Anybody can be lazy and shiftless.
It's true. And before anybody starts doing a lot of hate about him saying the quote unquote N word, even though I personally wouldn't say it, it's a word. Get real, people. It's a word. What carries the vilification, the evil behind the word, is when people use it and how they use it. So if you don't like it, if somebody else uses it just because of the color of their skin, then don't use it at all. This goes to everybody. That's just my opinion on it. If you want to use it, that's great. But don't hate on somebody else for using it when they're not using it with malice or in a rude context. He's describing the situation that was told to him. In the story that was told to him, that was not being hateful to anybody else. It was being explained to him. So before anybody starts hating on him about that, listen to what he's saying. Listen to the message he's trying to convey. He's not hating anybody. He's trying to tell people a message that he was told when he was younger by someone else who's quote unquote allowed to use the word because of the color of their skin. We need to think about this stuff, people. We need to not just have a serious conversation about it, a serious understanding about this, about all of this pain that is still going on to this day, about the stupidity of having laws in this United States of America, where if you are related to somebody who is black, who is your forefather, for 8 generations ago, you are still considered black in the eyes of the law.
Yep.
What the hell is that?
Another thing that gets me is, as a society, we're being desensitized. We're being desensitized to murder, rape, just public beatings. I mean, in general. I mean, come on. I watched a video the other day on Facebook. 2 girls got into a fight at McDonald's. Hell, everybody's standing around videotaping it. When you gonna videotape it for? Intervene, pull them apart, do something. And they're all screaming, "Oh, this going on World Star, it's going on World Star." We're being desensitized. I see it every day on Facebook. They're showing the beheading videos, Mexican cartels cutting other people's heads off with chainsaws. As a society, we're being desensitized. So that way, when we see it in real life, it doesn't bother us.
Well, part of it is the whole media mentality of if it bleeds, it leads, so they can sell ads, so they can sell whatever other revenue that they need to sell, so they can sensationalize it and popularize it, so that other people can look at what they're portraying.
Yep.
And it's taking to something that's basal to our nature and then glorifying it, whether they want to or not. They are literally glorifying it, and people going, "Oh, what a shame. What a crying shame."
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And this touches on something else that you said earlier about how, this is getting worse. I don't see it as getting worse as far as the numbers game. I see it as getting worse as far as the few people who still have this mentality and who are still perpetuating this mentality are lashing out even harder now. Probably because they know they're dying out.
Yeah. Yeah, see, back in the day, when I was younger, growing up on the streets, I used to run with all the big gangs. I used to run with the Bloods, Crips, Southside Mafias. I used to run with them all. Um, whether they were black, brown, white, didn't matter. They were still my boys. But the thing is that back in the day, hell, we'd roll by somebody's house and just start shooting. Wouldn't be nothing but a thing. And I think a lot of that has desensitized me to a lot of today's issues going on.
But you see, you lived through some of that. Where was the motivation to say, I'm going to hate on this group of people? Because somebody told you to hate on them?
Pretty much, man. Pretty much. And that's the sad reality of it. I mean, pretty much. I mean, that's just like going back to the Quran, the Muslim religion. I mean, it's taught to hate on the infidels, and because they're taught that and told that, that's what they do.
You would see that though with a lot of different religions, based off of who's teaching what doctrine. And my stance on that already. It's if you're going to start preaching hate, you're out.
Yeah. Yeah. And looking back, I just I tell my mom almost every day, I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry.
You're one of the people though who got the chance to tell their mother that.
Yep.
How many do?
Yep, that is true. That is true. I lost a lot of what, back in the day, I'd have considered friends. Now, I'd consider them nothing more than dug hood rats.
So what do we? If it turns out that everything that's coming out on this guy is true, I mean, he's gone on the record saying, yeah, he did it. If the motivation has been confirmed that he's out there because he wanted to start a race war, he's out there because he can't stand black people and white people mixing together, he's out there because he wants to make sure that white people come out on top and kill every single black person that's out there. What do we do as a society to deal with something like this? And I'm going to leave that one there.
Yeah, my stance on what I would do is really not something most people would tend to generally agree with. But you got to think about it too. He's doing something that, and for whatever reason in his mind, he felt was right and he felt he needed to do, for whatever reason, whatever his motivation was. But you think about the hypocrisy of people too, and you got to think a lot of people, oh man, I never say the N word, I'm not racist, I'm not this, I'm not that. Behind closed doors, there's your hypocrisy.
I couldn't tell you how many times it has happened, and you don't need to say the N word to be a complete racist.
Nope.
Actions alone, even as subtle ones, as something as simple as, oh, well, I'm not going to hire this white person because they're qualified, or I'm not going to hire this black person because they're qualified. I'm going to hire this black person because they're not qualified, and I'm going to make the other two start hating each other because I don't like this whole situation at all. And that's how you start strife, where you see, we have an unqualified black person up here, or brown person up here, because we have to meet a quota. Meanwhile, you have two qualified people out there, white and black, who are wondering, what the hell? Why didn't I get the job? Yeah. And then they're told, well, you're supposed to hate on each other. It's his fault.
Let's kind of leave that one hanging there for a minute. Let's talk about gun control. What is your stance on gun control? Keep in mind that the guy who did this, his father had bought him a handgun when he turned 21.
You see, I'm still getting unclear media reports on this. So I'm going to passively stay out of how he acquired the gun. But based off of what I'm seeing so far, he would have been able to acquire a gun legally, waited the 7 days, gone through any background check that would have been proposed, that I personally think, for the most part, would have been necessary to stop people who have mental illnesses or who have some sort of criminal background that is prone to this type of violence. He would have passed them all and still done this. So these are one of those situations where it's, you got a person who's been sane by all intents and purposes, sane according to the general attitude and consensus of the people in that area. Could have went, got a gun, sat down for months, contemplated this entire thing, and then went and done the same thing here anyway. So no amount of gun control, aside from outright banning guns, would stop this guy. With that said, there should be measures that should be in place to be able to restrict the wild sale of guns without infringing on the right of ownership. Because some of these laws that they put out there right now, I don't know whether they're doing it intentionally or if they have absolutely no clue how a firearm works. But, I mean, here's an example of this. You can legally own a shotgun, but if you put some sort of handle in the front of the shotgun, it is now suddenly illegal. What?
Yeah, yeah. That well, see, the thing is that okay, you can buy a kit for your 22 rifle that makes it look like an assault rifle, and that right there makes it a bannable weapon.
I mean, I do they not understand ballistics? Do they not understand the mechanics of wielding certain weapons? And I don't like the entire politics behind this, where you have one group playing against the other so that they can just start raising money and then hiring lobbyists who are making money to put pressure on the politicians who rake in money to put people against each other so they can continue making money.
Well, yeah, man.
And then people are wondering, well, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I want to own a firearm, whether it's for protection or for collection or for sport. And while I don't agree with somebody owning an AR-15 to go hunt some deer, which for one, if they own an AR-15 to go hunt deer, you're stupid. Two, bullet fragmentation, hello. And I don't own guns. I don't like guns personally, but I will shoot one on a range. I will rent a gun and shoot one on a range. And I want to teach my daughters how to use one. And I also want to teach them to respect the firearm and know what to do in a situation when they are not around an adult and somebody brandishes one.
Well,
but I also want to tell them not to shoot anybody unless you absolutely have to.
As a father of a teenage daughter myself, yeah, that's something, with, like I said, I'll go back to it with today's current society, is something, just like with self-defense, hand-to-hand combat. I mean, it's just something you should have to teach them now, especially if they're girls.
Oh, you damn well know I got my girls at the very least the basics.
I know you do. But let's talk about the Sandy Hook shooting. Okay, the pictures of that guy are like, oh my God, why wasn't he locked up in a mental institution anyways? He just looked like a nutcase.
Well, let's not go with the looks bit, but for all intents and purposes, though, you're right. He would not have been able to acquire firearms, especially over time, because of his mental health status. He wouldn't have been able to if certain laws were in place for that.
Well,
Now, there's got to be a way where we could tell the politicians, could we have some reasonable laws in place where we can enforce them without restricting the people who are law-abiding citizens, which there are a vast majority of them who are gun owners. So they can own the gun, but not do stupid stuff.
Well, statistically, 2 out of every 3 Americans own some type of firearm. That's statistically speaking. The thing is that you can't put a legislature on the books like that without actually trying to take weapons from people. It's been tried and it's been done, and I think it was Maine. They actually tried that in where the cops were actually going around, kicking up people and kicking down doors and taking people's weapons.
Hold on. The kicking down doors bit?
Yeah.
I gotta look that sucker up.
Yeah, they had actually done this, and it was only a couple houses that they had done it to, because I guess there was some bill that was passed. Somebody was supposed to register some weapons for confiscation, and they didn't do it, and they come kicking down the door to take their firearm.
Do you know approximately what year this was?
This year, man. This year or late 2014. The thing about it is that the Constitution states shall not be infringed upon. That includes no laws, no legislature, no rules. Now, I understand today's society, again, we have to have some sort of system in place, which I think the current system is working just fine. It's just there's loopholes around it, and there's ways around it. So there's really nothing you can do that you're going to be able to put into effect that people aren't going to say, oh, well, hey, wait a minute, this, you're coming after my guns and I got to do this and this and this now. It's just, it's slippery slope, man.
Well, hold on a second. Maine is a concealed carry state.
It was one of the northern states. It's either Maine or Massachusetts. It was one of them.
All right, I'll check up on that later. Going back to the whole Constitution part of it, the Founding Fathers didn't foresee technology running away with the firearms race. They didn't. They were talking well-regulated militias. Everybody has a right to bear arms. Go ahead, you can keep your musket or your pistol on your wall right above the fireplace. You're good. Nobody thought of an assault rifle.
Well, yeah, that's the reason why I said,
an AK-47, the world's most celebrated gun.
Hey, I love the AK, bro.
Or now, I can see shotguns for protection. I can see that. But an AR-15?
Well, see, you never
an AK-47.
I mean,
10.62.
Yeah, but
really?
Honestly, you never know. I mean, honestly, you never know.
What do you never know? What do you never know? What, the freaking stormtroopers are going to bust in your house and start shooting up the place? You need to be able to put out as much firepower as possibly can.
Okay, hold on. Let me put this into perspective for you and your viewers. I know somebody very close to me in my family did something very stupid with the Mexican cartel. The Mexican cartel's looking for them. They're hanging out at my house. And I want the maximum amount of firepower I can if they roll up and just start shooting. I mean, you never know.
Step 1, don't do something stupid. Step 2.
Step 1.
Step 2, don't do something stupid with the Mexican cartel. Step 3, if you ever do anything stupid with the Mexican cartel, don't roll up in my place. I'll get you a bunker. I will get your name changed. I will do it. Don't roll up in my place.
Well, I'll just say it's my son-in-law, and it's just somebody, it's my family. I'm going to protect them regardless regardless of what they did or who they did it to. So I mean,
But
I'm
at
just
that
saying,
point
you
in
never
time,
know.
all right, I get that. I get that. I'm sorry that this happened to your son-in-law. But at the same time, those are weapons of war. Those are weapons meant to take out multiple people with extreme prejudice.
Well, they
And
roll up
you're
in my
telling
driveway,
me,
they're going to be met with extreme prejudice.
well, shoot, that's a subject we're going to return to. Trust me, we're going to return to that.
Love you, bro.
Love you too. Seriously though, 95% of the U.S. populace who could possibly own an AR-15 or an AK-47 don't need to. Collectors excluded. Collectors excluded. Because if you're a collector, you want to collect all these guns, I can see the appeal of that. I honestly can. So you're excluded from this conversation. You want to collect, you do nothing but lock it up in a secure area, your vault, your whatever, your display case, there's no ammo around, collect all you want. Give this man a bazooka, give them a freaking M105, give them whatever the hell they want. Because those are the people I feel safe around, the collectors. Because when crap goes down, all I know is, look, we're getting the ammo down the street, we're coming over, you're the arsenal.
Okay, well, you can classify me as a collector then.
So long as your stuff isn't stocked, locked, and ready to pop, you're a collector. But for those people who aren't collecting, those people who claim this is for self-defense, and you are not defending yourself actively against the Mexican cartel, who are you trying to stop? Seriously. Who are they trying to stop? A bunch of black people coming in to rape the white women? What?
Yeah, you did. You went there.
I did go there.
Yeah, you did.
I did go there because that is ludicrous. There will be stupid people, yes, out of any skin color out there. But the odds of a bunch of people coming in with the sole reason, in droves, with the sole reason of causing chaos and havoc in the typical American household is extremely low. I cite the reduction of gun violence and the reduction of overall crime from the 1960s to today, where you have more people in the States and per capita, less violence overall. But we do see these tragedies happening, and we do see the body count going up because the technology is there to make these killing machines much more effective.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, they've got 9mm bullets that will actually frag and shred on impact.
That's a surgeon's nightmare.
I've actually seen that bullet in operation. It in the gel pack, it frags and just shreds on impact.
Dude, you seen way too much hell.
If I can find that video again, I will link it to you. But yeah, it's a very, very, very deadly bullet, and that's just for a 9mm. The 45 back in the day had they've actually outlawed it. It was called a black talent. That was kind of similar to what they have now for the 9mm. You've got the armor piercing rounds for the 9mm now. A fully automatic 9mm with a 32 round clip. Now that's a little extreme, but anyways, it's out there.
Well, shoot, the Tommy gun. That's all I need to say.
Oh man, the Tommy gun was so unreliable because you just couldn't hold it steady.
Well, if you had strong arms and knew how to fire that thing, the Tommy gun was nasty. The 9mm version was much steadier. And what was the other caliber? 45, right? With the drum?
Yeah.
Yeah. Being able to put out that much deadly firepower downrange with enough accuracy for mid-range fighting that you would literally kill off people in one pass? Nah. And people complain about the guns today. That thing was a killer. That thing was literally the lawnmower of its day. Just mow down people.
Yeah, but going back to what happened yesterday, um, I mean, there's really no way to regulate the firearms enough to where he just wouldn't have been able to get one. And even if he couldn't have gotten one, I'm willing to bet, as motivated as this guy was, I mean, there's bombs, knives. I mean, I can build a pipe bomb and throw nails in it and turn it into a shredding machine.
It would be, I think, honestly, that there's a certain threshold where people would actually execute something this despicable if it was easy enough for them. So, to some respect, if he wanted to go out and kill people, we'll cut straight to the chase here. This is all said, nailed, shipped. He wanted to kill black people.
Yep. That's all it was. It's what he said he wanted to do. Exactly that.
Now, where was his threshold of laziness?
Oh, I don't know, man.
He waited to get a gun. So if he wanted to build a pipe bomb, if he wanted to go and punch someone or stab someone with a rusty spoon, if he wanted to make a chemical bomb, which thankfully he's not that bright or brilliant in that area, or else the body count would be much higher.
Well, as you know and I know both, I mean, that's what, a click away to make a chemical bomb.
And even then, people were like, no, this is too much work, or it's too deadly for them, or they don't want to put that much effort into it. Which brings me back to the point here. The firearms these days, firearms period, make killing feel much more detached from the act itself. Whereas you have to go and stab somebody or chop somebody, you are putting a lot of effort into doing that. You have to get up close and personal to do that. You have to put muscle behind it, mental intensity behind it. You feel the feedback of that weapon reverberating through your body as you are trying to do something to that other human being. That is personal to you. With making a bomb, you have to put extra thought and effort into it. To some people, they rationalize and say, I just put this, mix it, like it's cooking to them. So they're putting extra effort into it. So they're not being lazy. The gun makes the killing mentality lazy. It is literally like walking in the park and pointing a finger. Except the finger is on the trigger. You are detached from the moment. You are no longer actively involved in the process of taking another human life or attempting to take another human life. You are touching an object that removes you from that immediate personal boundary, that immediate interaction with the other target, with your victim. So this makes it that much more, I don't even know, that much more convenient for the killer to just walk around and say, I don't want to put much effort into taking these people's lives. Let me use a gun.
So you're saying he was being lazy about it?
I would say that, yes, because he didn't go and kill any black people beforehand.
Well,
and if he was an enterprising person, he could have without a gun.
I've got to agree with you on that one. Yeah, it does detach you from the moment, but be careful what you say because you could be making a defense's case for him.
I'm not making a defensive case for him. He's an idiot.
I
He's a
mean,
psycho idiot.
you know
He
lawyers
needs to sit
nowadays.
in bars. But I understand that. I completely understand where you're coming from with it. And yes, you know what? Since this whole affluenza case, you know, made it through, which again, yes, we are weaving in and out of these tangents, but they all come back to the same focal point. Which person could use the defense of affluenza?
Yep.
Let's be real about it. Who could use the affluenza defense? If I get pulled over by the cops right now because I ran over 4 people, 3 of them died, and I said, you know what? My parents never taught me right from wrong because we're filthy rich.
Oh yeah, I remember that story now. Yeah, I couldn't believe that. Oh, I just couldn't believe that.
And yet, some stupid punk kid played the knockout game, gets 20 years.
Oh man. Oh man. I was literally hoping somebody would try to play that game with me.
Both of them are wrong. Both of them are wrong to their varying degrees of wrong. But the punishments, for sure, did not fit the degree of wrongs for each of them. Where you had one tried where it could have been, I forget what it was, but the judge made something to allude to the fact that you could have been up for second-degree manslaughter if this person was seriously injured or died. And yet the other person who did kill somebody gets off on probation. Tell me, where is the justice? Where is Lady Justice? Is she really blind?
Yes, she is blind. She's completely blind and deaf too.
She should be screaming at the top of her lungs and slapping these people around.
Lady Justice is blind, deaf, and mute.
Was it time that we tell her to uncover the blindfold, take out the damn earplugs, and ungag yourself because it's time you start speaking. And it's time each of us in this public, in this United States, stop muting ourselves, stop blinding ourselves, and stop putting earplugs in our ears every time somebody stands up and says, this is wrong, we should change it. Because at some point down the road, whether it's your generation or your offspring's generation, you're going to have to deal with it.
Well, see, that's a lot of the problem nowadays. Is that if it doesn't directly affect us in the here and now at the moment, most of us don't care. I mean, as a society, we really don't care. I guarantee you, tomorrow's news have something different.
Oh no, they're going to follow this one out for a little bit, and then there'll be just another story 2 weeks later. And there are families who have to deal with the consequences of this. Some of them not even hating on the guy, which I don't know if somebody killed my daughters, I know I could hold myself together.
Ooh.
I wouldn't say I couldn't hate that person, but I would keep my composure. But I would never say I could not hate that person.
Oh, honestly, I don't think I could compose myself. I would hate that sumbitch, and I would try to kill him as soon as humanly possible. I mean, that's just the raw truth of it.
And I don't think either one of us would be better or worse than the other for the way we feel about that. Because when you take a loved one away from somebody, you literally destroy their world.
Yeah.
And especially when you kill a son or daughter, you are killing off their lineage. You are killing off a portion of their own immortality. You stop them. You stop that essence of another human being to grace this planet Earth. to possibly help the society, whether in some great way or some small way. You remove them from existence. You've hurt us all, not just the immediate family, although they feel it the most. But some people don't think about it this way. You hurt us all. So for anybody who wants to share this out to somebody else out there, please, I implore you, if you see a situation where you know it's wrong, I want you to protect yourself, but I also want you to stop the injustice in some way, shape, or form. I tell that to my friends who are police officers. You cover yourself. If some perp is going to hunt you down and kill you, you put them down. I don't care what skin color they are. If they're coming after you and you have a mind to see that they are coming after you, you put them down, no questions asked. I will back you up to the day I die. But if you see somebody being beaten, being kicked, being killed, or has some racist ass attitude and going after people who have done no wrong, committed no crime, you need to stop it. Because if you don't, you're helping them. You're enabling them.
Yeah,
and for the people who say, so I have to interrupt you here on this one. For the people who say they can't do anything at all, it's not my problem. You're just fooling yourself. You're lying to yourself, and you're disgracing everybody else out there who has to deal with the problem.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a cop-out.
You don't need to march in every single protest that's out there, but you can help in your own community. That's all it takes. A little bit of effort in your own community goes a long way for the entire United States, and I dare say the entire world. Because whether you like it or not, being born in the United States, while it's a freebie, you are automatically a United States citizen. You now have to live up to this ideal of the founding of this nation, where even if we tripped up, we collectively have tripped up and made mistakes in the past. We are to learn from those mistakes and move forward as a society to make a more perfect union. But that takes everybody to make a more perfect union. That takes everybody to look at these communities not as something that you're going to see from the outside. Oh, that's them. That's over there. That's somewhere else. That's a part of you too. That is a part of the fabric of your society, because those people could either be the people delivering the fruits and vegetables to your local grocers, or it could be the next person that comes up with a cure for colon cancer to save your life or the life of your offspring.
That means put the phone down, people. Stop recording. It's not going to make you a producer or a movie star.
The phone part there, that helps. That does help.
I'm talking about the recording.
Oh.
All they do is stand around and record and cheer them on.
Or egg it on. Or start putting the blame and this stupid double standard of, based off of the skin color, they're treated differently. That needs to stop. Analyze each person for who they are and what they do, instead of stereotyping and categorizing them and walking away with a blanket statement. And for people who say that's just so easy to do because it's human nature, you're lying to yourself too. Don't cop out to that. Don't fall for that. The gun control issue needs to be dealt with. This guy would have slipped through the cracks. He wouldn't have been caught. I'm almost 100% sure on that. He would not have been caught. That doesn't mean you don't do something positive that will be able to not impact the vast majority of gun owners out there, but catch as many of those future perps out there as you can, so that another one of these situations, whether it be Sandy Hook or some other stupid massacre waiting to happen, so that it doesn't happen. And we as a people need to put pressure on those politicians that we elect, whether by trickery or whether by direct election, whether we're conscious about it or not, whether we think our vote counts or not. We still need to put pressure on those representatives that are there now and be more mindful of who we put up again as a representative. All of us need to quit being lazy and do something about it. And you don't need to drive to another state to do it. You could start literally in your own backyard. Stop injustice, no matter how small it is. Because if you don't, it's only going to get bigger, and it's only going to get worse. And there won't be many of us left to be able to deal with it. And I don't mean physically, I mean mentally. You want to close out with anything, brother?
Man, I'm good. I mean, I pretty much said my piece, got my point across.
I appreciate you coming on, man, and for me, helping me just to deal with this situation, this mentality.
You know I'm here for you.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Hopefully this message makes it out to one person. Just one.
All it takes is one.
Because that one person can help another. And help another. All it takes is one.
Becomes exponential, people.
It does. It does. Richard, man, I love you. We'll talk.
Love you too, bro. You know it.
Always. Thank you all. Have a good night.